Is it good?
We're live. Yes, we're
Is it
live.
good?
It's good.
Oh, it's good.
Yes.
Perfect.
Welcome to Paving the Way. This is episode 23, and today our topic is going to be Pat's beard.
I'm JB.
I'm Patrick. Switch those. So, how about that beard?
How about that beard?
It's a big beard. You are right.
It's getting there.
I was just about to say how big my beard was getting, and he cut me off and made me feel not as manly.
No,
No.
not even half as manly.
That's just normal, though, because you're so manly. So today, actually, I want to talk about a special topic. I want to talk about wooden pole supports for utility poles, like power poles, low voltage poles, kind of any of those poles, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So we got probably, how long did we get this first contract?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
So 3 or 4 years ago, we got a contract for SMUD doing pole supports where we would go out and find, they would identify poles that needed to have repairs done to them. Not repairs. I mean, what are they?
What they do is we actually bid the first contract that they put out that was to go in and you buy a machine that goes around the poles and it uses radiation or something to check how degraded the inside of the pole is, how rotten the pole is. And then once it gets to a certain point, it basically can't hold itself up. I mean, picture a fence post sitting in the ground. You know, after 20 years, you have to replace your fence. It's falling over.
So the first job was an inspection job.
Yeah.
To go out and inspect a certain amount of poles.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing, but we decided to throw our hat in the ring and see what we could do. I think we got second place on it, so we didn't get it.
Out of 2?
Yeah.
Second out of 2. That's our favorite spot. We get a lot of seconds that way.
And then a little while later, we saw them put the contract out to actually do the pole supports, which we had also never done. So we took a shot in the dark at it and kind of took a look at what it took to get them done, how big the material was, and kind of just worked up an estimate to see how many do you think we could do in a day, how many of them was their total, and I think that contract was for 800.
I think I was going to say, I think 860 or something like that. Yeah, so we did 860 poles on that first contract. That was actually a really good learning experience for us. We went out and we learned a lot. Actually, if you check out social media, I think we're putting some videos up here of the guys doing the work. We built a little video in the beginning, like of how to do it, like a step-by-step, and then we have it to use kind of as education for these guys. Also, teach them as part of the B&M University that we're building, which is to educate our customers and our employees on the proper ways that we do things and the proper ways customers can expect our stuff. A little shameless plug, I guess. But what I've been thinking about for the last, so we have another contract that came out. So we got another one of these.
Yeah.
And we're doing we
finished that one. It ended up being a pretty decent job. So we're like, okay, that was relatively easy to do, easy to schedule, easy to work with the guys that were running it, generally speaking. They did actually go ahead and take one of our best guys, though.
Oh, yeah.
SMUD.
Yeah.
But not directly through this. He had been wanting to work for SMUD for a while, so finally got the call and left. But on another note, we still have, I don't know.
We're not bitter about that at all.
No, not at all. So basically, there's different size poles, as you can see driving around. There's smaller ones that don't go as high, and a lot of those just hold like low voltage lines for AT&T, Comcast, any telephone and internet stuff. Before they started putting all the stuff underground, they obviously hung it in the air, and there's different size pole supports. You know, I think they range in total length from like 5 to 8 feet, and
no, usually a 5 would be a pretty short one.
Is it?
Yeah, like 8 to 10 feet would probably be like 10 would be a max for a big one. So I mean, really, just a quick description of how these things look. It's basically like a U channel, like a channel that looks like this. There's all multiple varieties now. They're rounded, but basically look at it like as a U channel that sits up against the pole, right? And then you drive this metal 8-foot piece down into the ground halfway. So you're going to drive about 4 feet into the ground. You use a jackhammer that you're using 8 feet up over your head, and you hammer these down into the ground right up against the pole.
So we have this kind of, we have 2 guys that will go out, and these each weigh, I want to say 300, depending on the size of the reinforcement, 250 to 300 or more pounds. So you got 2 guys that lift it off the truck, stack it against the pole, stand it up, then they wrap some straps around it to hold it in place. And we have a big jackhammer that attaches to you know, I don't know, 10, 15 feet up on the pole that has a special foot on the jackhammer that goes over the top of the thing. And basically it does all the work. You just make sure that it's being driven in, and the jackhammer just slowly tick, 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 smashes this thing slowly into the ground. And once it gets to a certain point in the ground, then we come back and we put these heavy duty steel bands that go around it to hold it in place, a cap cover that goes over the top to keep the rain out so water doesn't sit in there and rot the pole faster. And basically it makes it so they don't have to replace these poles for a long time.
Yeah, I think it can add 10 to 15 years onto the life of a pole.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think the rest of the pole would have to rot before they would want to replace it, because these things will literally take a completely rotten pole that's shouldn't be standing on its own, but is, just because there's wires attached coming in from both sides, so it can't really fall. But it takes all of that weight, all of that load, and holds it, and it's good.
I've seen graphics where they actually have the pole where it's sitting like a foot or two off the ground, and the bracket's down in holding the ground, and the top's holding the pole, and it'll do all of the work of supporting that pole. We actually did that. We did that on a pole that was starting to fall over. Now that something you said kind of triggered that, remember?
Department of Water Resources.
At their yard, we had a pole that was all sand up there, right? And that pole was going to go over, and we drove this thing down in there on both sides, I think. Two of them. And it saved the pole, kept it up, stopped much bigger problems on that one.
Yeah, if that came down, we would have had to rewire a lot of stuff.
It would have been
overhead
bad.
Lines.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't something that was our fault. It was just that the soil was really sandy in the area they were having us do excavation.
Completely rotten.
Yeah,
it was completely rotten.
Yeah, it was. I remember. I do remember that.
So yeah, some of the smaller ones, you know, they have smaller 8-inch reinforcements, and then they go all the way up to, I believe, I want to say a 10-inch, and on the big poles they'll put a 10 on each side, and we put them on the side that corresponds to the way that the weight is pulling. That's, you know, which direction the lines are pulling on the actual pole from.
Yeah, so I think it's a good topic to kind of just talk about and let everybody know. I think that a lot of people, this probably doesn't really affect a lot of people, right? But I think also there are people who have properties that they may have a pole where a situation like this comes up, and they might be like, whoa, I have that. Or
rather than paying, you know, a utility company or a really high priced electrician, you know, $10,000 or more to come out and basically undo all your wiring, shut all the power off to it from the transformer, take the pole down, you're out of power for at least a day. You know, to replace this pole, we can come in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, drive a post in, reinforce your pole, and you're good to go for 20 more years.
Yeah, I remember we saw that we saw a pole down on the coast. We were down on the coast a couple weekends ago, and there was a pole. It been hit by a car or something, right?
Oh my God. They took 2x12 and had it standing on edge like this, and a 2x12 on the bottom supporting it. I'm like, I don't think that's supporting much.
He literally pulls me up. He's like, that would be a pole support candidate right there. But also, I think that we're kind of trying to start to reach out to some other utilities too, because I think that there's a lot of other people. I think SMUD hadn't even done a lot of these for years. They kind of came back when we got this last contract. So I kind of want to talk about it and put stuff out there so we could build some education around this.
If anyone from PG&E ends up getting their eyes on this, you know,
there's actually just in Northern California, I want to say Terry said there was, numbers aren't my thing.
I can't remember.
I was going to say 23, but
4 million poles
something crazy. There's a ton of poles, and there's a lot of other utility companies. So we thought we'd kind of spread the word around these, have a conversation about them. We have there's actually 2 providers of them now. So we've gotten them from multiple different places now. We've used 2 different companies. Like we said, on our second full contract of another 300 poles. So
there's not many people that will do this type of work. I don't know if it's just because it's kind of a niche market, and there's not a whole lot of these contracts that are put out. But when we bid these jobs, you know, I think there's only 2 or 3 people that are bidding against us. There's only 2 manufacturers that we found in the country that make them, and they are in middle America to the East Coast, and they ship their stuff out here. So we have to buy them by like the rather large truckload to make the shipping worth the cost, because it costs about $5,000 to have them shipped out here per truckload.
For sure. So I just thought that'd be a good little educational thing to talk about today.
Yeah, if anybody has land and has some poles out there they want us to come take a look at, we can definitely do that for you. Obviously, the estimate's free of charge. You can know that it'll probably be a couple $1,000s to get it done, and it's pretty quick. And
but it's a lot faster. I mean, especially because I think people don't really like. I wouldn't even think before this that poles would deteriorate, right?
Yeah,
like I thought they were made out of wood that would rot and never really come up. But I mean, especially out with property, I mean, you got a bunch of poles that run power to your house, and you get a big storm. I mean, last thing you need is power going out in the middle of the night.
Yeah, what I've noticed now, a lot of the really big ones, they're doing a concrete base that goes all the way into the ground. The whole thing that's underground is concrete, and then the steel pole sits on top of it. The concrete's tapered, and the steel pole will slide over the top of that. So concrete doesn't really rot.
Yeah, that'd be for the cost of those has got to be more though than a wood pole, I would think. Right?
Oh God, yeah. But that's something that's major transmission lines.
Yeah. Right on. Cool. Anything else you got, Pat?
No.
Check us out on social media: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Like I said, there'll be some videos of this kind of work going on that you can check out. So yeah, everyone admire Pat's beard.
Let us know if you have any questions or if you need any tips on how to care for your beard.
Yeah.
I just wash mine.
How do you get only the sides straight like that?
Oh, that's all in how you comb it.
Oh, I've done it wrong because it's everywhere.
Yeah. You must be combing back in
the complete wrong direction. Shit. I'll have to figure this one out. All right, let's see if I can get it to come back brown.
All right, guys.
Check us out, bm-builders.com. Please ask any questions. I think next week or the following week, we have a top questions coming up, top 10 questions that are asked. So if you have any questions you want to ask, get those in, and we'll try to answer them on the next podcast.